November, Thursday, evening and fog. The lights of a small town like pearl beads sparkle on the black matte material, creating a cozy and peaceful atmosphere. As usual, I stood on the balcony and smoked. The first cigarette. The second. I let out the smoke that dissolves in the airspace and thus calmed down, looking at the gradually disappearing pale azure patterns. I know bad habits kill, but bad work, unstable sleep, and stupid people kill even faster. And one cigarette won't get me into the pit any faster. At least I believe it. After enjoying the tobacco products to my heart's content, I leisurely walked home, closed the balcony door, and covered the window with a curtain. I recently bought a light, battery-operated, can charge via USB cord, extremely handy, especially knowing how often the lights go out in the city. I pull out my smartphone, 13%, just enough to scroll through my Instagram feed and go to bed. 10 minutes from the start of my slacking, the lights in my room start to blink. Well, as usual, I'll go turn on the light fixture, I thought, and it was my best decision ever. As soon as I turned on my new acquisition, the light bulb in the room started blinking restlessly, and after a second it burned out, and the house went dark, but not my corner with the lamp. I turned on my smartphone with one click and was a little dumbfounded. There was no internet or communication, and there was some strange notification from the emergency service. Stay at home, don't open the windows. There was a state of emergency in the city. Emergency situation at the local station. The air was contaminated with toxic fumes and blah, blah, blah. Interesting, of course. Well, I didn't have anything serious planned for today. I'll just go lie down. I lay down on my bed, staring up at the beige-colored ceiling, pleasantly illuminated by my new purchase. While I was lying there, I wondered how the neighbors were doing. They must have turned it off, so I went to the window, pulled back the curtain a couple of centimeters, and was a little stunned. The town in which life is boiling everywhere and always as if died out after the apocalypse. The absence of light, people, even stray dogs and cats and single cars on the road created a very disturbing atmosphere. I wasn't used to such an outcome, and a slight chill ran down my spine and arms. All right, I thought. I closed the curtain, and just turning my back to the lamp I heard behind me, some sounds reminiscent of children's fiddling. I stopped to listen, but the sound seemed to get farther and farther away, and then came closer and closer, and so on several times. I moved closer to the window, I touched the curtain, and at the same moment the noise stopped. I looked at the time on my phone, 4:57. What the hell kind of kids would be playing at 5 in the morning on a cold fall night? While I was looking at the time, the screen light was slightly hitting the window opening, and I thought I saw the shadows behind the curtains move unnaturally. I tensely turned on the flashlight and pointed it at the window, and oh God, I could not contain my scream. Right outside the window, something. As if a blob of different shapes, fingers, hands, and feet, some incomprehensible pieces of my body was hanging in the air and was a centimeter away from the glass separating me and this horror. This creature was like a mollusk, as if it was in the water and moved its body parts smoothly. I slowly began to move away from the window. After a couple of seconds, I heard a light scratching on the glass. It intensifies. A moment later, I hear banging and slamming, as if it could not decide which of the outgrowth to break this barrier. I did not check my fate, and with a quick movement of my hands, grabbed my phone and ran into the bathtub and closed myself there. After a minute, the sound stopped, but I could hear again, by the edge of my ear, that vile, childish laughter mixed with the whispering of several voices. I sat in the bathtub for quite a while and silently tried to realize what had happened, but one thought made me feel, and I would even say panic, because in the kitchen I had put a plastic stopper on my window so that the draft would not cause the door to open. As soon as I thought about it, I heard another scratching and scraping with thuds in the kitchen. In a moment, something knocked the window door with the stopper, and with a sudden movement, flew its entire weight onto the kitchen floor. I heard a beastly roar that changed to a muffled laugh, accompanied by some squelching sounds. I double-checked the bathroom door. It could only be opened from the inside, so I was safe. I sat with my arms around my knees and silently prayed that something wouldn't get in, here, to me. I sat as if in prostration, without realizing where I was in space. I lost track of time and couldn't tell if it was morning or night. There was no sound outside the door, but that made me even more tense. I turned on my phone, I had 1% left, and I'd forgotten to bring my charger. While I was looking through the adrenaline rush of time, it was as if I saw something shining with unnatural whiteness under the door. I turned the phone screen to the door and just started screaming like I had never screamed before, because under the door there were dozens of mangled, dead, pale fingers reaching out to me, not making a single sound, but trying so hard to reach me. A sharp roar and the silly and obnoxious laughter that followed made me wake up and accept that I wasn't dreaming. I crawled away from the door and crawled under the bathtub, hoping that if something kicked in the door, it wouldn't kill me right away. I wanted to look at the time one last time. It was 6:38, and the next moment the phone went off and there was a darkness that swallowed up not so much the visibility of what was happening, but me and my soul, plunging it into the abyss of something dark. I closed my eyes and imagined that I was already dead. The light through a single slit at the bottom of the door illuminated the bathtub very faintly. I heard several thuds on my front door, and after one loud and sharp thud, the sound of something heavy and metallic falling to the floor. Human male voices were giving orders extremely loudly and quickly. I started yelling at them not to shoot, and slowly started to open the bathroom door. In a couple of minutes, I was already somewhere in a black van without license plates with tinted mirrors, all covered with some wires and diodes, accompanied by two tall men in black uniforms with automatic rifles. A couple of days after these events, I learned that I was the only survivor of my apartment complex by a miracle. All 5,500 people were found torn to shreds in their own rooms, without a single hint of breaking and entering. Something sinister had spared no one. Not women, not old people, not children. And it all began after a brief accident at the station plunged our entire town into darkness. The most horrible thing for me was that all over the country people started to find dismembered corpses of people after a sudden power outage in their homes, and the special services could not find any proof of involvement of even one person, and this is still going on. I no longer sleep without the lights on, or if there are no steel doors in the room, and sometimes it seems to me that sometimes, after waking up, I hear somewhere far away this childish fiddling. It seems to be chasing me and does not want to let me go, because I have seen so much.